All right. Hello, everyone. Today is November 4th, 2021, and welcome to join this week's SIG schedule meeting. This meeting is being recorded, so be aware of what you are saying. It will be public on the internet. Okay, so let's go through the agenda. So the first one is that Sebastian is trying to get some help on reviewing his PRs on the Cube scheduler simulator. So it's original GSOC project, and we agreed to maintain that to be more widely used by some other purposes, like you can use it as a SDK, not only as a GUI to simulate the scheduling process, but also can be used extensively. So, but it lacks of people that understanding the code base as well as some reviewing work. So he is calling for help on this. So Sebastian, do you want to give more information on this? I think you're online.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I want to talk about is now we need more reviewers, and maybe I think we use Go language on this project, and you need a basic knowledge of scheduler for development, but I'm sure most of the people at this meeting or hear this meeting meet these requirements. So if someone get interest, I can help you. So please feel free to ask me on ask any questions on GitHub or Slack.
Yeah, I also recall that you mentioned you'd like to go to give a sort of overall introduction and code base walkthrough so that people can get familiar with that. So do you want to sort of schedule that, maybe for example, in the next SIG schedule meeting, so that can get people started with the code base?
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, well, be very helpful for for guys to get familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and yeah, I think this is clear for us. We need more reviewers to take the reviewer responsibilities, and the other maintainers, I think, occupied and have their things in their plates. Okay, and second thing is, Vinay, are you online? So it's a long discussed topic about in-place part of vertical scaling. So it seems it's targeting for 123.
Yeah, I'm here. So yeah, sorry, I think we slipped this from 122 because we were running short on time for review, and after the loss of momentum there, I had my new role requires me to manage. So I've been finding it hard to find focus time to work on this. But the last couple of weeks, I've been looking into fixing all the node issues that the reviewers brought up in SIG node. I think most of them are addressed. I also have addressed the issues that you raised last time on this PR. I think there were four items that you had. I just commented on them this morning. So there were four things that you had. One is to verify if there is, so the code comments that I have, I think I've fixed them. And it looks like the scheduler cache init container is does not need to be, we don't have to worry about it because validation blocks it. I tried updating the init container resources. It's not allowed. So scheduler doesn't need to worry about accounting for that in terms of what its state is. As far as the pod cache update pod function, it does completely remove and add the new pod. So whenever calculate resources is called, it's always looking at the latest updated pod spec and the pod status where resources allocated has to be taken into consideration. So when kubelet updates the resources allocated, what is held what is reserved for the pod by the node, when you do your compute, when scheduler does its calculate resources, it's always looking at what kubelet has currently said it is doing. So I think we are good there. My question here is, I think the outstanding tasks here are I was trying to see if I can get some help, but the person who's offered to help is not quite available. So I'm going to try and do it over this weekend. I think the things that need to be added is unit tests, which I'll do. One of the questions that you mentioned last time, I remember, was that you mentioned that there are some places in scheduler where you have some assumptions on the immutability of resources once the pod has been scheduled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I wanted to get, I'm asking to, almost asking for spoon feeding help on this one because my time has been very slammed. So I think some pointers on where to look at. Is this the only place the events to register? I'll try to take a look at this weekend. Is there any other place that I need to look at? Because it looks like this, besides the unit test, that seems to be the only other thing. I just don't know how big it is, how much of work it is to understand it.
It won't be that much.
Okay.
So basically it's just, we have the assumption that pod update won't update the requested resources, but now it's not the case. So we need to, change some places and to loosen the restriction. So basically, I can help that if you don't have time, given the code freeze is in less than 2 weeks. It's November 16th.
Oh, okay. That would be great if I can count on your help. But
yeah, I can cover this. But may I ask that what's the status? What's the status for other pods like API, like Kubernetes? I noticed you use this. Well, it's a giant PR that contains all the parts here.
I think I broke it down. When we started, we wanted the node guys said we want to have everything in one PR, the SIG node, and that's why the API, I had it initially as one commit for the API change, and this is what I did last night. After Tim Hawkin approved the API side of things, and then I got a lot of review was done by Lantau in SIG node. We kind of reached a tentative agreement. We were at that point looking to commit it in 1.22, so we decided let's squash it, and then it'll be easier to see any follow-up changes that we make instead of having all these commits. So I did that. Yesterday, I undid that squashing. I essentially broke it down because API is not changing anymore. CRI is not changing anymore. Those pieces have been very well reviewed. The node implementation, there is 1 or 2 items left in terms of how to how to manage the updating of the container resources, how to call the CRI, and how to manage the pleg pulling the status from the CRI. That is going to be reviewed next week. And the last big piece that remains is scheduler, which is not in these commits. I'm going to create a new commit on top of this, which is
a commit or new PR.
Yeah, right now the scheduler change is not there in this PR. It's there on my in my repo local. The fixes, I've been testing it, and I'm looking to add unit tests this weekend.
Okay.
I'll do that, and then I'll take a stab at the events to register as well. If I can't, then I'll just message you over Slack that I'm not able to.
Sure.
Please help. So I'll try
Okay.
to take a stab at it. It's easier if it's easy for me to grasp and understand. This is all new
Okay.
stuff that I'm not familiar with. Last time I looked at scheduler closely while I was working on this was 2019. that's how it was. And
Right.
then the scheduler was quite different, and our design also was different. It was having the scheduler approve the change first, because scheduler does the initial, and then we decided to go with okay, there is a small race condition possibility, but then the future changes that come to the node, to the resources that the pod is running, should be purely an interaction between API server and the kubelet, and scheduler may help if it can, may assist. Like at some point it can say I can evict some pod or something like that, but that's not in the scope for now. So that was decided as a key changes to the design after the 2019 initial proposal, and so now we have settled on this, and it's pretty close to getting in from
Mhm.
API is done. The node is hopefully will get done next week, well in time for the code freeze. And I just hope that we have enough time for scheduler to, like, make a clean code change here. It
Sure,
could be
sure.
I can make it a separate PR, or I just have to see if it's a separate PR. It has to go first. This PR has to go in, right? And then, so having it as a commit on the same PR makes it easy to
So it
share
depends.
it.
It depends on how soon this PR can be merged.
That
For
will
example, it can be, if this PR can be merged, like let's say early next week, I think we have enough time to catch the code freeze. But
Yeah.
let's say if this PR can only be merged like end of next week, I would suggest just append a commit here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
depends on when this will be merged. Yeah.
Okay. So for now, I think I'll create a commit on this, and if we want to separate it out into a separate, if we want to make it a separate PR that follows on this, I can always force update it and move it out.
One question. What happens if scalar changes don't make it to the code freeze?
That's why we want it in the same PR. That's why the node guys want it in the same PR.
Right, because I would assume that that would lead to a broken cluster, basically, right?
It will,
or
yeah.
A broken node, at least.
It will. It won't. I mean, it's alpha, so it's disabled, so it won't immediately look like a broken node. But the fact is that when scheduler sends a pod towards another node, it is not taken into consideration this particular state where if it's infeasible, then it needs to account for it differently and use the min max, so that the using the the max of the requested and what's currently running, so that will facilitate the resizing. Otherwise, what will happen is that scheduler will see, okay, it'll execute based on its current behavior, where it doesn't know that a resize is happening, and it'll send a pod to a node that may not have the room to accommodate it, and the pod will get rejected, will have to be created again by the controller that initially created it. So it's
so I would say if we were at the beginning of the release cycle, you could do separate PRs, but I think at this point it's safer to just have everything in one PR.
Yeah, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Does that make sense, Wei?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah, given that, hope you don't have a lot of rebates or sort of changes you have, because you have to manage this kind of code changes.
It is painful.
Nicely in each commit. Otherwise, people, the reviewer will also be painful, the reviewing.
Thankfully, the first two are completely done. Tim Hawkin has already signed off on that, the API changes and of course the generated files. The second one, the commit number 8CB, that is the one that's node implementation. Most parts of it have been reviewed. The CRI has been completely reviewed, and there's no changes coming. So as far as rebasing goes, it's every time a new commit comes in, it does take me a little while to catch up and then redo the generated files and then force update. It's a pain, but I'm hoping that I won't have to deal with it after 2 weeks, with less than 2 weeks. So there is hopefully there's a lot of motivation to get this, and more and more companies have been asking me if I need help. So it looks like there's a lot of people want this in now. So the scheduler changes, thankfully, it comes on top of all of this, but thankfully it's so far it looks like it's not sprawling all over the place. It's a few places and unit tests that need to be added. I'll do it this weekend.
Okay. Hey,
yeah.
It's the same PR that's discussed in the SIG note, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I see that.
It's big. So I think the reason why it's taking so much time is also because it touches major components, and it does have the potential to destabilize Kubernetes. So that's why we're being cautious.
Vinay, this is Chen. So for the unit test and integration test for the scheduling part, if you have questions, you can also come to me. I would like to help.
Oh, you want to do the unit test for this? Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just Wei and Vinay. So I'm also available to help for this.
Okay, that's great then. Because what I'll do is I'll update the commit. I'll update the today. In fact, by today afternoon, I'll push another commit on this, which is for the scheduler changes that applies the review feedback that Wang Wei had given earlier. And so those, if you scroll below this,
okay. Yeah, just share with me your branch. I don't know which branch you are working on for the scheduling part right now. So
it'll just be on the main PR. So you can just after I send, I'll shoot you a Slack message after I update the PR with this one commit for scheduler changes, and then you can sync up to this and then add unit tests to it.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't be too much work. The only other thing that's left is to look at the events to register, which has made assumptions. I'm gonna try and look at it over the weekend. If not, I'll ask Wang Wei's help for it.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I can start looking at the unit test part.
Right. Thank you very much.
But it needs to be uploaded to the same PR, right? Like you need to give your collaborators permissions to okay.
Yeah, I always just commit to his PR, his repo, and he will commit.
Yeah, I think she sends a commit to my repo, and she sends a PR to my repo, and then I just merge it.
Right. And did the kit mention intern tests, right? Like, are you planning an intern test as well?
Oh yeah. Let me take a look at what I can do from the scheduler side for E2E tests.
Well, I mean, it's not the scheduler, right?
not E2E,
right?
Integration.
I think I need to have some basic E2E test in there. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. To verify that the scheduler is behaving correctly given the states of the pod. It's difficult to catch this one in the sense it might be 1 or 2 test cases can be covered where infeasible can be handled. I just have to make sure that when the E2E tests are run, the node has limited capacity, or let me figure this out. Wang Chen, if you can look at that as well.
I can take a look at the unit test and integration test. Yeah, I'm not sure about end-to-end test either. Yeah,
end-to-end test is not that needed for alpha feature, especially if you're running a cluster. You even don't have a way to specify the feature gate. So
I guess so.
End-to-end test is usually not needed for alpha.
No, but like no, you can still run for alpha features. We have a job.
A tab, sort of.
Yeah, we have that. And for this case, like an integration test is not that. I wouldn't be interested in integration test. We need an end-to-end test because we want to understand the interaction between the scheduler and node works well. In a integration test, you will not have nodes. So you will not have Kubernetes running, for example.
Yeah, that's true.
Correct. So yes, we do have a very comprehensive end-to-end test. It's just that the focus on that is mainly to ensure that the node, when we make the different kinds of pods, guaranteed best effort, and best effort is, of course, it should not even allow that, but guaranteed and burstable pods, different variations of burstable pod configurations. When you update them, the resources are updated correctly, the C group reflects the correct values, and the pod status reflects the correct values. That's what the E2E, it's a slow running E2E test that we have. There is currently in that suite, there isn't a focus on scheduler figuring out how to see if scheduler is doing the right thing. So I think we can add to that if it's easy to do. Essentially, this was planned for beta, negative test cases E2E. For alpha, we had all the the happy golden path test cases, which is already covered. And there is a test file called under pod test E2E pod under, I think it's under node. It's called pod_resize.go. So that has comprehensive testing for this end-to-end testing for this feature. It's just that, okay, I have to see.
The end-to-end test right now was mainly focusing on the node part.
To see that
whether it's mutable or not. This one,
I think if there is some visibility into, we can probably add a test case which focuses on this particular scheduler, where it is picking. If we create a pod that change a resource change that's infeasible, then we need to and then we try to schedule another pod. It's a little bit of work, but I think that can exercise on an end-to-end level that scheduler, this change that we have is doing the right thing.
You mean like we have a pod resizing to take out the capacity, and then the scheduler would just filter that out?
No, like take for example, the node has 4 CPUs, and we have a pod that we schedule a pod 1, which is requested 2 CPUs, and then we resize that pod to say we want 5 CPUs. Now that is an infeasible change. So what happens at that point is that the scheduler sees, when it does calculate resources, it sees that the change is that requested is not feasible. Now, if we schedule a new pod which requests 1 CPU, it should get scheduled. That's how we test this particular part of it. That's a end-to-end. It's a special E2E test. It's more like a negative test, so I haven't considered it in alpha. It was, I think, in the CAP I mentioned all the negative tests are for beta release. But if we can possibly look into adding that one case for this to cover scheduler from end-to-end perspective. Unit test is important. We don't have any right now, so let's just get the unit test done.
Okay, let's prioritize the unit test. So if we want to add some E2E test for this one, should we put those in because all our E2E test right now is under the testing node folder. Will that be under the testing scheduling folder?
I think the input test separated into folders, like the control plane as well as the data plane. So if we come up with input tests for scheduling part, you have to put into the. So there is a test / end-to-end, right? And also test / end-to-end _node. So put the test into test / end-to-end.
I think we can do it in the current one itself. It's a test case specifically for scheduler.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I see.
Just add a new, use Jinko, right? So just add a new Jinko sort of test there.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah, sure.
Vinay, you mentioned that if you resize, if that resize is not feasible, assume the scheduler logic should reject that resize, and then to free up the resources for the original part. Is that right?
Yeah. So if the resize is feasible, it's being applied, then the scheduler would take max of the what is requested and what is currently allocated. And at some point those two will become the same, and that's when the resizing is converged. If the request is such that okay, there's a pod that comes and says there's a 16 CPU system and there's a pod that has requested 1 CPU, it's been scheduled, then it requests, okay, I want 17 CPUs. It's just effectively blocking other pods from ever getting it. If you don't take into consideration that it's never possible, you're never going to get it. So that's pretty much the change that we have there.
So basically, if the resize is not feasible, okay, there's not enough resource to support that resize, then that part will be, the new logic will kill that part, right? Delete that part. Is that right? Or
No.
just keep that part, not change?
The pod will continue to run with its old whatever resources it has.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, I see. I have another question. Yeah, you just mentioned, so the C group is going to be adjusted, right, to the new resource boundary.
Hello, I have to sort of cut here, so maybe some detailed discussion, technical discussion, we can put it offline. So we have still other agendas here.
Yeah.
Let's take
this. No worries. Let's take this offline. Thanks.
Yeah, and the last item is from Jose that he raises a network-aware scheduling design for that. So, whoops, why is it closed?
Yes,
one?
There would be a new one. So I guess you say did something wrong for the squash. Yeah. Exactly. So okay. Yeah, Jose, you want to say something about it? So he prepared the whole cap, and we want someone to review it.
Sure, I will do that.
Yes.
I will do the review. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I tried to rebase, but I think something didn't work very well. So I will create the PR again, because now I only have one commit and not all the commits that I have worked in the last few weeks. So essentially, we have started from the feedback that we got last month when we presented the work. So we have adapted our design, and essentially we want to see if the community agrees with the design, so that we can essentially bring some plugins that will address latency and bandwidth in the scheduling process. Essentially,
sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to bump the dependency of the scheduler package. So right now it's rendering 21. So I'm going to bump the dependency to 22. Yeah, just for your information. All right, and yeah. So before I end up this meeting, do you have some other items to discuss?
Just want to ask, so Vinay, when we say discuss offline, is it through the Slack channel? Or
yes,
what?
yes, okay. Or you can, just
indirect message.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good, thanks.
All right, thanks for joining today's meeting. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for your time.